Marissa, a stunning young woman, she is getting married to Chris, a successful and affluent guy. After a year, the scene changes to show Marissa's happy existence as her husband, a successful lawyer in the community, loves her. Nevertheless, she still has aspirations of being a fantastic singer and songwriter. Currently, Marissa sings at a little cafe and dreams of performing on larger stages in the future. Despite having a wonderful marriage, she feels as though her life is stifling because she hasn't accomplished anything in her musical career. When Marissa goes to her husband's work one day to bring some snacks, her mother-in-law greets her and never misses an opportunity to make fun of her and remind her of what a decent wife should do. Marissa doesn't want to listen to her mother-in-law's taunts. Marissa writes the words to her upcoming song in the park, after which she might submit an application for a singing competition. But believes she isn't capable enough. Marissa decides to take a break after thinking for a while and failing to come up with anything good. She then views a filthy movie in which a man smacks a woman. A short while later, a man called Slade passes by the park and sees Marissa watching adult films. He then gives her a smile and watches her intently, but just then, his phone rings, startling Marissa and making her feel guilty. Slade, on the other hand, isn't bothered about it and just gives her a wink before turning to leave. After that, Marissa calls her husband and asks him what he wants for dinner tonight. As she strolls through the park, two men nearby are drinking and discussing personal matters. Moments after one of the men leaves to use the restroom, the other man approaches Marissa and extends an invitation to drink and hang out. When Marissa declines, the man becomes aggressive and tries to coerce her. Fortunately, Slade reappears at that point and threatens the man to leave Marissa alone. At that point, the other man also appears, and they both apologize and leave the area. Subsequently, Slade gently advises her not to stroll in this park alone and that she must find a different location to watch filthy videos. He asks if she was in the video, to which Marissa replies that she is not. After inserting his number into her phone, he invites her to the Corporal Club, promising her an exciting time there. Later that night, as Marissa lies in bed, she imagines Slade carrying her on his shoulder and taking her into the forest, where he smacks and punishes her for not writing a song. Chris then enters the bedroom, assuming that his wife is dreaming about him. After Chris gives her a kiss, the two start making love. Marissa then has frequent fantasies about getting smacked, which she repeatedly suggests to her husband, but he ignores them all since he's too beta to act in such a way. The following morning, Marissa phones Slade and hangs up as soon as she hears the first ring. She then gathers her courage to call him again, but hangs up once more upon hearing Slade's voice. Slade is aware of her doubts and knows he can convince her, but he's currently preoccupied with playing with the sun. Just then, Marissa gets a visit from her police sister, who gives her flyers promoting her singing show. Later, Marissa looks up information about the Corporal Club online and tries to learn more. When Marissa goes to the Corporal Club, she meets Olivia Morris, a woman who is afraid to walk inside. Slade convinces Olivia to get over her fear by telling her that she's in excellent hands. However, their conversation is cut short when Marissa receives a call from Chris apologizing for their earlier argument. Then, as Slade opens the door, Marissa hears a moaning sound from the club, which frightens her even more and makes her want to flee. Later that evening, Marissa and her family go to a cafe where Marissa puts on a wonderful performance. After observing Slade from a distance, he walks by and strokes Marissa's shoulder, causing her to become aroused and unable to hear what her sister is saying. Marissa receives a call from Slade the next morning, inviting her to the club that evening. At first, she is hesitant to accept, but after some convincing, she agrees, and that evening, she chooses to go inside the club after taking off her wedding ring. When Marissa first meets Olivia, she learns that the Corporal is a nightclub where people with various fetishes and secret desires can have fun and be themselves while concealing their true desires from society. Olivia then introduces Marissa to Valerie, another employee who works there and punishes the women severely in order to make them feel good. Valerie tells her that she lost both her career and her spouse because of this place, but it's worth it for her moments. When Slade enters the club and Marissa discovers that he is the owner, he chooses a girl and severely punishes her in front of Marissa. When Marissa witnesses this, she feels embarrassed and leaves. When she gets home, she spends some time with Chris and tries to get him to smack her, but he doesn't get her clues. Marissa loses her cool and yells at him angrily. Days later, Slade goes back to the location where Marissa is singing and is impressed by her. Meanwhile, Olivia observes this from a distance and becomes envious. Frustrated, she goes back to the club and asks Valerie to give her a severe spanking. When Marissa gets home, she thinks about Slade and pleasures herself in the bathtub. Later that evening, Slade gives her a call and extends an invitation to a Sunday party. Since Marissa has no reason to doubt him, she makes a vow to be there on Saturday afternoon. While her husband's older sister is giving birth, Marissa visits her husband's family. Marissa makes the decision to go to the Corporal Club despite her feelings of embarrassment. But when she meets Slade, she gives in to his seduction and he leads her to a place where they can have fun while Olivia watches them in jealousy. He then shuts the curtains, has Marissa to kneel, removes her skirt, and gives her a hard smacking when they get home, causing her both pain and pleasure. Marissa beams as she examines the red marks on her body in the mirror. Later, she ignores her husband's texts and calls someone who is away on business. However, when Slade texts her, she reacts enthusiastically and thanks him for a wonderful evening. Meanwhile, Olivia gets home and plays with her son. And it's revealed that she's Slade's ex-wife and is still in love with him. Chris worries when he gets home the next morning because Marissa hasn't answered his calls or texts. Marissa tries to talk to him about her desire, but halfway through their conversation, Chris assumes she's talking about her music. He then assures her that he will do everything in his power to support her. Later, Chris asks Marissa where she was the previous evening, to which she lies and says she was out to dinner with her sister. Marissa meets with her sister and begs her to tell Chris that they had dinner the previous evening. When her sister inquires as to where Marissa was, Marissa replies that she is unable to do so at this time. Despite her sister's displeasure with Marissa's actions, she chooses to assist Marissa in saving their marriage. Marissa then understands that lying to her loving and supportive spouse was a mistake and decides to give up her aspirations. She throws out her outfit and starts ignoring Slade's messages. Days afterward, on their anniversary, Chris publicly declares his intention to run for district attorney at a press conference. Olivia shows up at the press conference and emails Marissa the footage of Slade spanking her. When Marissa sees this, she is horrified, but she tries not to show it to anyone. Olivia irritates her even more and even messages Chris. Marissa freaks out and starts to panic, but Olivia has merely sent him a message wishing him luck. At that moment, Olivia asks Marissa to meet her in the bathroom. When Olivia gets there, she starts blackmailing her, saying that she wants to control both her and Slade's lives. Marissa isn't ready for this and tries to hide in the restroom, but Olivia keeps up her blackmail and even threatens to expose her in public. At this point, Marissa is in a desperate situation, so she complies with Olivia's demands in order to protect her husband's career. Olivia then kisses Marissa and invites her to the club. Next Saturday, she leaves. Marissa then casts a grin on her face and approaches her husband to post before the press conference. As the film comes to a close, Marissa says she has never felt more alive and more afraid in her life.
Please subscribe for more movie